Hi, Valentines. My name is Chris Fair. Welcome to Vanity Fair with Chris, and I am pumped to give you a brand new season of a brand new show I've never talked about on this, the most holiest of weeks of love and whatnot. But also, Super Bowl happened, but I get to talk about 90 Day the Single Life. This is season 5, episode 1, Art of the Love Bomb. I really am very excited to do this because obviously I've talked about the fact that I got to go to the holiday party. And when I got to go to the holiday party in December in New York for 90 Day Fiancé, they basically had the entire cast of The Single Life there. Now, I sort of had pieced that together a little bit because why would certain people be there and not others? But also, even saying that, there weren't like all of the Single Life cast members there. So now that I've gotten to spend some face-to-face time with people, to be able to see what's happening in their lives, I mean, it's kind of exciting. I still don't want to be like friends with anyone, but I do feel like I'm going to have empathy for people. And I will get into that. You know, having said that, the Super Bowl happened. I didn't watch. Big surprise. I am currently moving. I am in the process of moving. It's basically going to happen in the next 73 hours, 74 hours, 72 hours. That's what it is. Give or take a couple of hours, as I get the place cleaned up, get the movers to move my apartment from one place, the place that I'm in now, to the new place. So I'm a little all over the place, literally, and but excited nonetheless. And it does seem like a beautiful new week for many different reasons. So listen, if you're single or if you're attached, this week is going to be great, Valentine's Day or not. However, I did watch parts of the halftime show because, you know, listen, obviously, I'm not a big football person. I do like watching basketball. But then if we're not going to even talk about sports, Super Bowl for me for so long was just, oh, what friends of mine are in commercials. And boy, would I have loved to have been in that commercial. But I don't feel like I necessarily am even in that space now so much. Although if I have any friends that did them, God bless you. But at the same time, you know, obviously Bad Bunny happened, and I was sent this very funny thread, just like a little line. So I wanted to shout it out. This is from my friend Becky, sent this to like a bunch of my comedy girlfriends. But this thread is from Mia Taylor, who said, "No guillotine in existence could take away the head I would give that man," in regards to Bad Bunny. And so I LOL'd for a long time. Tee-hee-hee. I liked it. Anyway, oh my goodness. Yeah. The Single Life. Here's the thing. Obviously, you know, I watch 90 Day Fiancé. It's why you listen to this podcast, because you assume that I have like some knowledge of the entire franchise. And I do. I haven't really ever kept up with The Single Life. Watching episodes, it's not really hard to keep up with like what's happening case by case if I want to, like in individual storylines, which is why Single Life wasn't ever really important to me. The same thing kind of like with Diaries. I feel like, you know, if something big happens in any of their lives, I find out about it just through social media. So I haven't ever spent a lot of time watching Single Life or Diaries, but here is the time. You know, never say never. And at the same time, this first episode, I was pleasantly happy with, even with some sort of like cynical aspects I came in with. So anyway, let me break it down. We're going to start with what seems like two Single Life people and Julia. And they're a trifecta, if you will, of ladies. And it's Liz, Sophie, and Julia. So Sophie, we know, or at least I know, is friends with Julia because of Hunt for Love. Sophie had to give us the fact that she had like a bad situation with Liz, like on a tell-all, but that they had gotten over it and now they're friends. Now, sometimes when the franchise wants me to believe that people are friends, it's hard for me. Like, I do believe Sophie and Julia are friends, but I just need to feel like Sophie and Liz's vibe maybe like are on the same level. They just don't seem like they would ever hang out. And here's the thing. Julia is funny because Julie doesn't present as like the craziest party girl, but she is. Anyway, so we're in Costa Rica with obviously Julia, Liz, and Sophie. And Liz wears like this really cute gravel green bikini with gold hardware. And Sophie has a 2-piece. And I mean, listen, Sophie looks different, right? Sophie looks different. So Sophie, likes plastic surgery. She's not the only one in the franchise, but she looked so different that when I was kind of like staring at her for what felt like 5 minutes, but let's just say in honesty, it was probably like 26 seconds. And then I was like, okay, well, first and foremost, she's gotten veneers for sure that they are larger teeth that she is holding into her mouth that has thusly changed the structure of her face. Now, that might not be the only thing. She could have also gotten like a jaw. I think she might have gotten like some jaw filler or, whatnot. The girls are loving that. So yeah, like, and she also was young when we first met her. So like, she looks different, but yeah, specifically her teeth are big and white. It's that thing. They are wildly big. And it's the thing about reality stars that like plastic surgery is that when they weren't on the show, they like plastic surgery. And then when they get on the show, billions of things happen. If you were already like super judgmental about your looks, now it's not just you. It's like the entire world that watches you. And who knows what any of those people look like. And they're coming to your page and saying whatnot. And also B, you now have access to people who are willingly throwing free filler your way. Free surgeries. Cannot wait for you to just do like one collaborative post being like, I just had my consultation with Dr. Bloopity Bloop Bloops and can't wait for my new breasts, surgery, tummy tuck, bleph. I mean, it's like, that's what it is right now. So all of that to say, like, I'm not shaming her, but you watch that and you're like, oh, you watched Sophie when she came on screen, you were like, why does she look different? And so my job is to be like, oh, veneers, if not more. Veneers though, God bless. So, and she's not obviously almost every Bachelor, I tell you this, the glow up from Bachelor or Bachelorette contestant to actually Bachelor or Bachelorette almost always includes the dropping of pounds, Botox fillers, veneers, and a spray tan, hair highlights, extensions. Okay. So, now when we see Julia, we're also like, where are we in space and time? Because we know, as I've said, you can follow people's lives through their own social media. So when the timelines of certain shows like come up, it's always a little confusing and you don't always have to watch them. So when this comes up, doesn't seem super pregnant, right? Like if she is pregnant, she doesn't seem like she's far along. She has to tell us that she is pregnant, that she's not telling anyone, and that no one's going to somehow ask why she's drinking what obviously is just pure pineapple juice while the people are drinking really yummy margaritas. I will tell you that the thing that makes me arguably the most jealous of any like intake of food or drink on any reality show. I'll talk about food, but I never really want to eat the food that's like on TV. But almost always, I always want like the yummy tropical drink or margarita that has just been given to the reality show contestant, like from a server. Maybe it has tahini on the rim. Maybe it's a beveled glass or etched in some way, but you can tell there's a heaviness to it. If it's in a pool, then you're like, oh my God, would I love to just be like in a pool, just like fully handed like a skinny guava margarita on the rocks with tahini and salt on the rim. I obviously would. Obviously a little coconut water, what do you want to do in there? Anyway, I really would love a vacation. Anyway, so I'm moving. So anyway, Liz gets to have a little of her single lifeness in this too, because we are going to be in Costa Rica specifically for Sophie. Sophie has met Pedro, and she's been talking to Pedro, and Pedro has fallen in, complete amour with her. You know what I'm saying? And then as Julia says, she knows that Sophie likes Latinian men. Now, when Julia says things wrong in English, it's adorable. Liz likes older men, we know. I don't know why she was with the person that she was with formerly. But that is what happened. I just always assumed she did it for the fame. And, but when I met Liz, I really liked her personality. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to give her a second shot. Okay. She seems nice. So, basically Sophie's version of like how she came to talk to Pedro is fake. This is what she says. She said that she found Pedro on social media and she did not know him, didn't know what show he was from, the very show that she's on, the same show that you're on. Didn't know that he had his own spinoff, The Family Show. Didn't know it. That he had harvested the American dollar. He actually harvested both the American daughter and dollar. And Sophie was like, me next. Sophie, how dare you? Girl, how dare you try and tell us that you didn't know who he was and that you just like found him on social media? That's why I'm like, if I'm going to be at a holiday party with all of you guys, at this point, you could be like, you know what? Honestly, I was right after we had done Single Life, I had gone to a tell-all party and he was there. I mean, like, or I don't know. Or I knew that he was on the show and he reached out to me. He knew that I was on the show. I mean, the idea that she was just scrolling and found him and then just so happens by like pure serendipity that this one hot man is also a cast member on the very reality show that she's on. It's just, I'm not dumb, girl. Come on. Heesh. Okay. How's Claire? Sophie, every time that you are on TV, you need to like give us a little fucking Claire update. It's not so much that you aren't interesting. I do find her interesting. And by the way, I like Sophie. I like her voice. Like I've always liked Sophie's voice. It's obviously real soft. I'm bi. But it's also like so funny because I always like LOL'd how different her voice was from her mother in so many ways. A, the accent, B, the tone, all of it. I like Sophie. I think that she has like a demureness and a sweetness to her. I do think that she might have issues. I do need to know what's happening with Claire. Claire is a character. She's a character. And like I need Claire to be on the season. Like she's going to have to call her. And here's the thing. If Sophie's like, no, bitch, Claire's very toxic and I don't want to talk to her anymore. Great. But I want to know that. Be like, as you know, Julia, because Julia's my friend, I'm trying to pass off Julia as one of my best friends. So as Julia knows, so I can have a conversation with Julia on camera, I'm not talking to Claire right now. She doesn't call even anymore. She's living in Tasmania with this guy named Dylan. He likes to eat kangaroo. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Could you imagine? I could. So basically, Sophie recounts that she had told Pedro like what her ideal first date is. And then I find this wildly fascinating because every part of her relationship with Pedro is something that I've never experienced and never, I feel like will experience, which for some ways, and, is fine. And also some ways would just like a moment of it because it's the opposite. But let me just say this. So she says that she's talking to Pedro and they're talking about meeting up for the first time. And she's like, I told him places I'd like to go out and gifts I like to get and things. Okay. One time I went on one date and a guy gave me one pair of sex dice, which isn't a gift that like makes you feel, well, it's not definitely a $2,000 necklace. It's not a necklace that's $2,000. It's a gift that's like someone's like, well, can we do this later? And you're like, oh, cool. It's not awkward. But in this situation, Pedro took her out and then gave her a $2,000 necklace. And she was like, it's a lot. That's a lot. But something about Sophie is transactional. And the way that she looks, this is how it is to me. If you are a man that wants a Sophie, I've always assumed this, that you have to pay for a Sophie. So when men, and that's for men who look like Pedro, like if someone like Gino wanted to be with Sophie, like you can't, you literally, but unless you were like Jeff Bezos and you would have to be paying her so much all the time, everything she wanted. But she just gets to move in this space of like, I have robotically put together a contraption that is so ideal and attractive, a model of girlfriend so attractive to some men that upon seeing me, they immediately know that I'm expensive and that in order to get me, it's an installment membership, like monthly plan. And you have a buy-in and then you keep up with those things. It's not that I want that. I surely don't. I just want to be able to like somehow move the needle away from men just being really lazy with me or avoidant of me or treating me like I have no specialness in me, like, or whatever. Like, I wonder how, and I don't want to, but here's the thing. I'm like, okay, I wonder how to just move the needle a little bit, but I also don't want to get so much copious plastic surgery all over myself that it's like, there's bruises and drains all the goddamn time. You know what I'm saying? It's just so interesting. Obviously, but I'm happy for her. And it's funny because she wants to be treated well, but up to a point, and then it becomes obviously too much and icky. And I don't blame her. But anyway, let's get into it. So she tells the story and she's now hung out with him a couple of times. And now she's come to Costa Rica with a girls trip. And it's also, she drops his sister's like birthday that she's going to go to. And I thought that was nuts. Like, and then I'm like, well, what was this conversation? Because if I went out twice with someone and then they invited me to their sister's birthday, I think I would be like, in your hometown of a different country, I think I would have picked up on the fact that maybe this was serious. I don't know she gets to have her friends with her. That's good. I'm assuming is paying for her own hotel. Just kidding. It's production. He is putting together a van. And what we realize from Pedro is that he is offering this van to her as like his token of appreciation and taking care of her like from his masculine place while she's on the island. They give him literally Bad Bunny-esque B music, so much so that it's like Spanish music that literally says, "You a bad bunny, mala, mala, mala." And I was like, oh my God, it's a little on the nose. It's a little on the nariz. Okay, so he has friends, which is great. He looks great. He's doing well. He's living in Atlanta, but obviously he's back in Costa Rica. His friends plan to meet Sophie and the girls at the club later. And they're like, yeah, every time that you just get with a girl, you just like jump in. You're so romantic. And he's like, what are you talking about? As he decorates this van with roses, like a bed, like roses, like decorates the van, like, and candles, like little tea candles that are electric, but like it's a bed, like it's a sexy bed. It's not a Sprinter van. It's, just a van. It's a nice van. I mean, I'm so happy about it. Then he later is also decorating himself. He is getting himself ready for the club. He is trimming downstairs. He's trimming little Poppy. I think like a beard trimmer or, right now I'm using like one of those little, like, I have like a little like stick trimmer. I think it's supposed to be like something you stick up your nose. I've been using that to just like go in and just like trim downstairs. And I just find it so nice. I like just for me, if you want opinions, if you can just laser or electrolysis the majority of your life and then just keep up with like a little beard trimmer, it's so nice. It's so easy. Anyway, he wants to get married and have kids. He's like, I feel like I thought it was going to happen, obviously, with Chantel, with his backstory. And it didn't happen. And I'm like 33 and I want it. Like, I want the house. I want the kid, And it's always, let me say this. It's interesting when you hear people say that. He's like traditional, I can see him wanting that. Some men say it when they think that people want to hear it. And some men truly want that. Some people want it, like, and some people don't want it. I don't have to just say men. It's interesting. I think that like probably for a majority of people that are a little bit either way, definitely people are like, absolutely not. And if you really want kids, there is a part of you that has to understand it might not happen, for a variety of reasons. And it's so like hard to deal with, but at the same time, radical acceptance of where life brings you and and what you can do in the present moment is just like such an important, emotionally intelligent trait to have, but also like survival mechanism, I think about that a lot. Like if you have hard and fast needs without taking into account like something more important, like how you feel or your just own happiness or just like sharing connection with others. If that's not more important than something like having children, you might find yourself depressed or sad if that doesn't work out. Or if it works out and it's not like you planned. Life shit is so difficult. I like single life though. On paper, like Sophie and Pedro make sense. And also it really makes me feel like Hunt for Loves could be like a ready part of the franchise. Because single life kind of feels like what could happen after Hunt for Love. If people meet people like in those situations and are in relationships that then expire. Because I, again, don't love the fact that we were supposed to believe that they met online. I would have loved them to have met in a situation that we watched and then for this single life to happen after that. Because single life is basically happily ever after for single people. Okay, so going back, we to Liz, we know that she obviously had the situation with Big Ed, but then she got cheated on by that guy, Jason, that like had stood up to Ed. And that sucked. Like he had a whole other girlfriend and he wasn't there for her. But unfortunately, I had known one thing about this, but then she laid like another piece of the puzzle and I did not know that bad about her. I unfortunately knew that Liz had gone through like a health cancer journey and that, is so difficult and scary. And she's so young and my heart goes out to people that have to deal with cancer. I wish we could just be gone with it. At the same time, she's like, how I fucking found out about the cancer? I had a miscarriage with that asshole, Jason. And so she's like, and so I was like happy about that because then I found out. And I was like, oh my God, Liz. Liz is glowing. Liz looks so different in every way. Like obviously she's lost weight. So it's not just the losing weight, from the Ed situation. But Liz's eyes look different. Like I do love a lighter hair, like she really seems to be she really seems to have like light and joy within her. Their happiness is like, spewing out of her. And so even if Sophie and her like don't seem like the bestest of friends, Sophie's energy is low. She's a low energy girl, like she's not super funny. She's not super, jovial. Like that's obviously Julia. Sophie is hot as hell, like she is very attractive, specifically in like the male gaze. And beauty is beauty. So I'm not judging her, like God bless, like I don't know what that life's like. But she is. And so she, doesn't have to be like funny. I'm sure being funny or being too loud goes wildly against the entire image she's crafted, which, speaks to like probably why we have different situations. Anyway, so yeah, but Julia's loud and Liz is fun. Like Liz is fun and engaging. So I'm happy that Liz is there. I just don't know if you guys are really close friends. But I want Liz to have fun and Liz wants to have fun. Liz is like, I want to meet men. I want to like get out there. And also she's getting paid to be on vacation. Go Liz. She wears like this muted, cute bodycon dress. And she's like out there to like have some fun. Sophie's like, I clubbed 2 days before coming to the DR. We're like, oh, okay. Well, Dominican Republic now. I think I might have said she was in Costa Rica before, but I think I might have messed up and I'm so sorry. I think that I thought they said Costa Rica before. Like, I don't know if they had flown in and then went to the DR after that. Okay. You know what, my love? I know where Pedro's from. So, I think I just written the wrong thing down. So here's the thing. Sophie and all the girls are now in their club attire and Sophie's wearing like, oh my God, this number that really accentuates like how small that waist is. And I mean, Pedro talking about Sophie's body is like, well, it's exactly what you think. It's exactly what she wanted. He's like, look, I saw Sophie and I was like, hair, lips, tits, ass, then waist. I saw it all and I was like, she is fine. And yeah, those are the exact moments that she wanted to hit. You know what it is? It's an interesting thing to me when beauty for the male gaze lies in like, to me, the compartment of like mildly cartoonish. And just in how big things are, because then where is the line? Like, where is the line from, her to like Amanda Lepore, like it's funny, like Jessica Rabbit, like Betty Boop, Sophie or Kim Kardashian, or this kind of extreme when it comes to like silhouette and male idealistic beauty traits. It's just, yeah, it's funny because I know that there's like, it takes all kinds to make a world. And Sophie has like picked her lane, and she gets men who like, obviously are like little fishies to her bait. It's interesting when Pedro was like, yeah, I want to be with her. Like, I want to make her my girlfriend after this. Because I want to be like, why do you think that she's going to be like a good mother to your kids? And I'm not saying Sophie wouldn't be, but like, what is it? Where does the connect happen between like, this person is otherworldly, a sexual goddess, and I want, to be with her, and she is so, so hot, to this is like my wife? Because I think that some men have like different versions of what that means. And I think some men don't. And I wonder for Sophie, like, what her day in and day out interactions with men are really like. She must truly get a version of pretty privilege that is why that phrase exists. She must be just idolized in certain like transactions, like, like when she gets her car changed, or, her oil changed in her car, or when she's getting her groceries bagged. It must be like a situation where the way that she's looked and like the way that she's manufactured her aesthetic genetically drives certain people bananas. Anyway, but I think that like, I think that she's at there's a whole science to it. And I feel like it's so interesting to watch it play out. Like the sociology of it is fascinating. So basically she's wearing a hottie toddy dress. He's obsessed with it and he cannot wait to see her. And she like, looks great. Julia's wearing a little like play suit. I already told you what Liz wears. They're all super cute. They get into the van. The van is decked out. And Julia is so funny because she's like, candle in a car? Candle in a car? There's a candle in the car. She cannot get over the fact there's candles in the car. It overwhelms her. It blows her mind. She's like, why would this person do it? It's absolutely too much. Sophie is like, gets the ick hardcore. Liz is trying to make it better because Liz is like, this is nice. This would be nice if someone did this to me, because and even Sophie's like trying. It's hard when someone is doing too much. It's difficult to be like, oh no, this is making me get the ick. It's making me go inward and I suddenly can't be excited, or I can't be attracted, or I suddenly feel like a certain way. And the truth of the matter is, too much too soon can do that. But at the same time, if someone starts to like come on a little strong and you've like hung out with them after a while and you're not into it, I think it's at this end of the day, like the telltale sign that you guys aren't supposed to be together. I think that coming on too strong in the very beginning, like I said, is never good. But as people get to know each other, if someone's energy starts to pick up and your energy doesn't, it's just like, well, that's a great opportunity to check in and be like, well, I guess not. The checking in of how you feel in relationships is so difficult. First of all, can you hear me? There's like literally trash cans coming right now. I hope if I say this right now, because this is like not sponsored or whatever, this doesn't like end up in your algorithm, but whatever, God bless. I randomly got Instagram ads for this like somatic matchmaking speed dating service, where it's like a speed dating thing where you go to an event and instead of it being like sitting down and just like conversations, it's like you have meaningful somatic experiences with people, like trust falls, or like staring at each other in their eyes for a long time, or like a breathing exercise, or like holding hands, or something where you have to not talk and somehow access like other parts of your body and your nervous system to truly either make a connection with someone or at least get yourself attuned to how you feel with someone else around you. And so I'm like somewhat fascinated by it. Not so much that I think I'm going to meet someone at one of these events, but just so the practice of seeing how I feel like next to someone, because I think I get overstimulated and I can like just talk a lot. And I think that I can let my mind just like jump from thought to thought. And in doing so, I tend to like not pay attention to, again, how I feel or how someone else is making me feel and how attentive they either are like energetically or not. And I think it could be like a really great practice because it almost seems like the opposite of phone culture, scrolling culture, or like dating app culture. Anyway, so have you guys gone? Okay, so now having said that, if you have gone to anything like that, this one's called The Feels, but I'm sure there's other things like that. Tell me. Also, thank you so much for listening. Also, give me 5 stars. Okay, back to business. All right. So, yeah, she's not into it, but God bless. At one point, Julia's like, "It's nani nani," and then Sophie has to be like, "I know how to speak Julian," who's trying to say naughty naughty. And Julia is so super cute, and also Sophie's like high class, non-rhotic English accent is lovely to hear. Naughty, naughty. Okay, so Sophie gets to the club and she gives Pedro an awkward side hug, and he is cognizant of it. And not just him, his friends. Villa's one of his friends. Villa's cute. You know who thinks Villa's cute? Liz. And we're like, yep, Liz and Villa, we're into it. Pedro again is like, she's stunning. She looks stunning. You are wildly gorgeous. She's like, thanks. You look good. She does say you look good. Anyway, how nice. Okay, so Villa's there, like we said. There's also Genesis, Raphael, someone named Darling. And Sophie is just like, the expectation of me is too high. Like, it's too much. It feels like everyone's staring at me like I'm on a job interview. Like, she's also a shy girl already. Like, again, she's not coming out there like Julia, like there's a cartwheel involved as she like comes on stage and, jokes. She's like, and she looks the way she does. So she's a beautiful girl. And so again, everyone's like judging her. She knows it to think about whether Pedro thinks that this hot girl is actually hot, or whatever she is afraid these people are going to think, which is true. Like, the unfortunate thing of being gorgeous and or beautiful or whatever is that you kind of have to consider whether people still think you are presently, like, because there seems to be like a fickleness with beauty and or love, like that it can change. Which I think, like, when you read a lot of like the Marilyn Monroe letters and diaries, that fear or that like unspoken, well, she spoke it, but I mean, she wrote it, that just kind of like pervasive feeling that the ground's going to fall from underneath you, like some weird imposter syndrome that people think that you are beautiful or sexy or gorgeous, but that they'll rub their eyes and blink and look sideways and suddenly see you differently. It's just like a nightmare. I mean, I'm assuming, or just that age happens to you and then you wake up and suddenly you're not. I mean, who knows? A bunch of things, like it's why you can't, put all your stock in that. Why you got to put your eggs in multiple baskets, little bunnies. Okay. So basically, again, Liz and Villa look like they're going to have some fun. Pedro and Sophie end up having some alone time and seeing if they can get back to like a flirty space. And Julia is just, I don't even know, like hanging out with other people, do they know that Julia's pregnant and married? Do those people know? Julia. I would love to know like where Brandon is in this very moment in time. And the answer is like with his parents in the hot tub, I guess. Okay. So let's move on to Kimbali. So Kimbali is doing laser tag with a gentleman named Javier in a blue shirt, She gives us a little bit of her backstory, which we've been knowing, but basically, if you don't remember, when she was 19, she enlisted in the army. I don't remember her telling us if she was a sharpshooter then, but I'm glad she reminded us. She was a sharpshooter. And however, through the course of this story, I feel like we certainly get clarification of like what happened with Jamal's dad and all the things. I mean, not everything, but we definitely get more information about that. Kimberly feels so wildly different now than she also felt when we first met her. Kind of like Liz. Liz also had lost weight. Kimberly has also gone through like a health journey. So that's one part of it, but also a lightness of being a joy of being, like they both have great highlights, and they were both with, in some ways, hard to deal with men. Also, they were both with hard to deal with men that we, the audience, had already seen on this show and had already known were nightmares. So when we met Kimberly, we were like, "Girl, did you see baby girl Lisa and Raw Dog? And what are you talking about? What?" So, but we, and by we, I mean collectively the 90-day audience, liked Kimberly 100% more than we liked baby girl Lisa. Baby girl Lisa never came back to the franchise. Baby girl Lisa looks a little bit like the Lisa of Lisa and Danielle. Okay. With Liz, we were, again, I said this already, we were like, girl, Big Ed. We've been seeing how Big Ed treats women, and it's so horrific for you to have access to that footage and sign up. Then what is happening here? Like, what is right from wrong? Do you know it? But again, the women are back. They're living their lives 2.0. And I'm happy to have like a fresh space to see how they're living and like give myself some understanding of why they did what they did before. She's kind of flirting with this guy, Javier. She says that, he's kind of handsome, but she obviously is like, just kidding, you're really handsome. And then he says, gracias. And she's like, de nada. She loves flavor. Then we get a scene with Jamal. Jamal and her are obviously hanging out. He comes over to her house. He has no problem grocery shopping through her refrigerator, grabs a potato. She says, though, things are kind of tense. At the holiday party, both people were there. Jamal, again, is someone who came into the franchise having dated someone who we already saw in the franchise. Now, it was a different situation because he dated Veronica, and Veronica was the ex-girlfriend of Tim, and Tim had come on the franchise to date Jennifer. Okay, so then when I think maybe it was A Single Life or Happily Ever After, who knows? I watched it, so I'm assuming it was a Happily Ever After. We watched, what did I just say? Jamal and Veronica. And in Jamal Veronica's story, I had the same reaction I normally do, which is that if Jamal, who was already adjacent to the franchise, is suddenly on the franchise, I'm assuming this person wants to be famous. And I also didn't buy the chemistry, sexual or romantic, of their relationship. What I saw was, yes, a much younger man be like wishy-washy, whatever, too cool cash, to like an older lady who like seemed heavily into it and was trying to get him to admit or commit to a relationship, and he would do neither. So to me, I was like, I don't even understand why we're watching this. This is not even a relationship. This feels like feels like a hinge communication that's happening on TV where you guys are so not even on the same page of being interested in each other. It's awkward. I say hinge, like, when you're just like walking, when you're just like, I don't know if you're on an app. I will be honest. I want to rip myself from them. I'm in the process of doing so, but it didn't even feel like they had made it to the stage of dating. They were still talking. So at that point, I was like, I don't have like any sort of like truth or authenticity in Jamal's storyline in this to make me like him. Because I think that what makes me connect with a person or a character, like there's always like a moment of vulnerability that they show, or like a moment of heart that they show, or like a struggle or something real. It's like, I need realness. Like I need authenticity or sincerity. What are they moving through? And like, what do they know about themselves? And what are they like learning about themselves? And what are they saying about themselves or this situation that either rings true with me or makes me feel like they have a soul about them? If those things don't happen, I'm usually not going to be like a fan of yours. And fan's a big word. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So when I met Jamal at the holiday party, I was like, hey, hi. I think that he was like, what'd you say about me? And or maybe had asked that, or maybe I had offered the fact that nothing horrible, but also nothing great. I don't really know who you are. I don't know why you were dating her. I don't know who your type is. You seem, again, like I said, like you just are unbothered, moving through life, like waiting to see like what thing is going to spark an interest in you before you act. So this Jamal, though, we're getting on This Single Life already seems like a completely different Jamal, like someone who is sitting in like who they are and like is willing and able to like, I don't know, talk about what's happening with themselves. Isn't just putting up weird kind of like bro-esque walls of like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so I'm not making it myself clear, but already I can tell that Jamal's relationship with his mother is going to give us a different Jamal, and a different Jamal will be like to me, a great one, because it didn't seem like he was truly affected enough by Veronica to showcase who his personality is. And we ended up getting kind of like a surface level, maybe like too cool for school Jamal that I was just like not interested in, bored by. But I like his mom. I like Kimberly. So Kimberly is working now at a spa. I'm like so happy for her. She's like, I love it. It's like, I get to just be super organized and I enjoy that from the military thing. I'm like, okay, girl, but also do you get free facials and free massages? Because good. I mean, a spa ritual, like at a hotel, I'm sure they're great there. I'm sure they do like all the hydrofacials. Oh my God. Half of me being like, I bet those highlights come from that spa. I bet that, like half of your just glow comes from the fact that you're getting like massages. Like this Kimberly is like getting it in. Like we've already met Javier. We're going to meet some other guy named B later. Like Kimberly is on the prowl. Kimberly is hormonally active. She is getting it in. And I'm really happy about that. And I think if I was to put anything on this, it's that I'm happy that she works at a spa because I think that it gives her a lot of things. A job that she likes. B, friends like Lily that she enjoys. C, access to beauty treatments like that make her feel good about herself, but also, like I said, D, massage, literally human touch. And I think for like people that are single, I think everyone deserves, okay, first of all, everyone needs human touch, period. Everyone needs human touch, period. B, no one's getting it unless you're in a relationship or currently a baby or like, I don't know, in a cuddle group. It's so rare that you get it. And so, yeah, getting massages is important. Talk to Annalyn about it. Okay. Javon and Annalyn. That's who I mentioned. So basically, after work, she and Lily are going to go hang out. And Lily is like a lovely friend who truly cares about Kimberly. And in this little confessional, I'm like, you can tell that Lily has like a genuine relationship with Kimberly. She's like, yeah, she's a great person. She does a lot for other people. She's never experienced love. And I want her to find it. She deserves it. Now, Kimberly's saying that she's never experienced love. When she says that, I think that she thinks that that's going to be like shocking. And I think that probably for a lot of people, maybe it is. But to me, it's not. I haven't. And just because Kimberly had one child or two or three or maybe more, doesn't mean that has ever happened for her. And I think that there's a certain kind of like necessary time where the relationship is so symbiotic, where like the giving and taking and trust, communication, and comfort has had a version of stability that allows someone to sit in the idea of being in love. Because if you were to break down what love is, and I mean, I wish someone would for me, because again, I haven't been in it. But to me, again, someone who hasn't been in love, I'm assuming it's some version of one, turning like a hormonal style lovesick crush or infatuation that is, not comes from both sides, not unrequited. If that situation sustains through healthy communication and emotional intelligence by both parties to an actual relationship, I think that could be love. I also think that maybe, and I again don't know, it could be where you just are friends with someone and suddenly some moment happens where you guys just either get struck or wake up or settle in or just pick up on the fact that you're in love. I'm assuming one of those things happen, or you're just slowly, casually dating. And then at one point, one of you thinks maybe that it is. And then later on, the other one maybe considers that it could be, but no one says anything until one moment someone says something. And then you're like, oh yeah, me too. I mean, it could be, I don't know why it hasn't happened for Kimberly, but the truth is, even if she said it, even if it's been said to her upon reflection, upon like introspection and time spent, it's, I think, incredibly brave to be open and honest of what love is and if you've experienced it. They go to Mavericks Beach Club with her friends Lori and Jody, and they go to an event that is a Pitch-A-Friend. So basically, at a bar, there's going to be a PowerPoint presentation where a host will have people come up and pitch their friends. Now, the host of the event is this super cute girl that like looks like she's wearing like jeans from like the 2008s, and it's like cargo indigo blue baggy jeans, and she has, I assume, tailored the waist to nip it in such a way that I was like, I love it. Give me those jeans. She looks great. So then they put up the Kimberly presentations. Her friends go up and they're like, okay, get to know Kimberly, basics. First slide, she's 55 years old. And then they say she's a true San Diego native. And for some reason, they wrote San Diego native as one word, no capitalization, San Diego native. She's a true San Diego native. You know, you're just like, what happened to the space bar? Was there just not enough? I mean, not enough characters there. She's a military veteran, and she in huge cap says has a son. End. Okay. Next slide. Fun facts. Loves marine life and aquariums. Marine, the M in marine is capitalized for some reason. She's not afraid of a lot, ... except for snails. She loves big, strong men, and she doesn't suffer fools. They also then go on. She's like, they love cats. She loves cats. So anyone that, doesn't love cats. I mean, yeah, even Kimberly was like, you could have like held off the cat thing. Everyone there is young. The youngest person that's 43, is a young 43. Specifically because of what I'm about to say next. Remember, the first guy that went up was 43, and she was like, no, that's too young. So she doesn't meet him in there because, again, no one is in her age range. But she also gets a booty call text from someone she says is named B. And she's like, I gotta go, guys. B is, texting me, and B is my booty call. Yeah, B will always book like a fancy hotel room because he has roommates. And already, and I can, obviously have a place where Jamal will just come over at any time trying to find a potato. And it's funny to me because half of me is like, oh, how fancy are these hotel rooms? Only because if he can afford so many fancy hotel rooms, like why have roommates? But that's a very bitchy thing for me to say. Okay. I'm not done though. So basically she goes over to B's. She has an LV that she's carrying, honey. She loves that LV. She goes over to B, and B is nice. B does not want to be in a relationship. She obviously wants to be in a relationship. She does this thing where she's like, hey, yeah, I just came from this event. I just love that I can talk to you about things like this. Sorry, I just put submit up. And she's like, I went to this Pitch Me event, and, my single friends are trying to get me, to get in a relationship. I love that I can just like not have you be jealous if I say, how I'm being pitched to other men, how you're okay hearing that. He's like, yeah, baby, I am. And she's like, great. Because what she really wants to be like, is like, baby, why are you doing that? Like, you shouldn't have to be pitched to other men. Like, you are mine. I want you all for me. But you know what? He doesn't say that. He doesn't. And I want him to, but he doesn't, and that's annoying. He should. He absolutely should. She deserves it. So basically they hold hands, then she takes a shower, then they bone, and then she goes back the next morning, like walk of shame. By the way, this is B. She goes back, walk of shame to her own home, and Jamal's there. And she's like, I just came back from B's house. And then she says that B is 44. And I want you to know that he is not 44. And if he is 44, then he has lived so hard. I can't believe he's alive. Not just because B is, has is black and therefore like should look younger. He isn't 44. The man that like was at the pitch show that was 43, looks 22 in comparison to this 44. You know who's 44? So guess what? No. So anyway, God bless. Jamal and Kimberly are putting together, like a piece of furniture she needs to put together. And Kimberly has already hinted at the fact that there is tension between them and that there are secrets. And we dive into what those secrets are. So Jamal's dad and Kimberly were both in the military. And they obviously were in a relationship off and on or whatnot. He cheated on Kimberly a lot. They had a child together early on in Kimberly's career. That child was named Larry, and she gives Larry up for adoption. Jamal's dad continues to cheat on her, but she is still in a relationship with him. She obviously gets pregnant again, and that's Jamal. She never and then of course, she gets out of the army. We're not quite sure what's happening with the Jamal and Larry's dad. We catch up to where we all now. We know that Jamal and Kimberly have a very close relationship. A year ago, Larry, through like My 23andMe, reaches out and finds Kimberly. And so Kimberly, who has sat on the secret for a long time, has to tell Jamal, that he has a full brother, a full older brother. Yeah. And, when Jamal hears this, he finds it devastating. He finds it devastating that like his closest like ally in this world, like the person that he sees the most, his mother, who like looks in his eyes, like the person that he spends the most time with, would have and could have lied about something so like integral to the family unit and his life. And I think it rocked him. And in a very real way, it's like what I was saying before, like I would see how it would. He's like a young man. When you are human, like you're kind of feels like you're constantly building your life on the truths that you assume to be true, but that you tell yourself are true. Like in order to find our place in this world, it's like we're trying to like find our footing, and there's so many ways like, what is the ground? Okay, what does that feel like? If that is the ground, then I can stand. Okay, then I can, like move on from there. If I could put the light onto the room, then I can see. It's like you need to have certain like things to hold on to grasp. And I think that something like the way that you view your family, though your understanding of your family unit sort of gets put into like the identity of who you are. So if things are shaken or if truths are revealed, it can really like shake up who you think you are and what you thought was real. So, I mean, this part for me, I was like, Jamal, I would like need like a bunch more information from you. Like, are you in therapy? What was it like for you to meet Larry? Because we do get, this is all from Kimberly's point of view. So even though Jamal's there, we do get a little bit from him, but like Kimberly's like, yeah, I hid Larry for so long. So when I went to go meet Larry, I was so happy because he was such a lovely, man that had his whole life together. And I knew that he probably would not have been in such great shape if I had raised him. Then Kimberly says that she needs to have a deep talk with Jamal about the other one. And I mean, this becomes like wildly, intensely dramatic. I mean, it's quite a different place to be than just like, oh, I'm mini golfing with someone named Javier. And then, I'm going to a pitch thing with my fun friends. It was a lot of like real life, like trauma. And I mostly just felt like it was really brave of Kimberly and Jamal to like let it be known. So I wonder if we're going to meet Larry. Obviously there's a sister involved. Now I want to know more, but more so with Kimberly. I think Javier was cute if she wants to date him. I think that someone really has to tell her that B is not it. Kimberly, you live by yourself and you have a job. You deserve a man that lives by himself and has a job and also wants to date you. B doesn't want to. I think that there is something to jealousy. I can't imagine a world in which I would want someone who I'm interested in telling me about their sex exploits and romantic things. I wouldn't. I cannot. I would rather not. It doesn't make me feel good. It's a waste of my time. If I want to be with you, then it's a waste of my time for you to like drone on about other interests. Then what is happening here? And so it's very telling that he doesn't care. Also, the hotel didn't look that nice. Okay, so let's move on to Gino, honey. Gino, I mean, it always feels like, okay, let me say it this way. Gino says it himself. Gino is like, I need to change my PR image. I look like a whiny, sad, cheap, disturbed, sugar daddy, but mad about being a sugar daddy. And I need to look like a fun, hip, does fun things, is exciting man. And so the entire episode is him trying to do that. But the best part is when he's looking for bread. Okay, so here we start. He's at a spin class and he's spinning and, he's doing it. Like, for instance, when I first saw him on the spin bike, I was like, is he going to even actually have the shoes that clip in? Or is he going to have sneakers and then try and make us think that he actually spins when they're Velcroing the sneakers, to the pedals? He does spin. He's not bad at it. There's a girl next to him who obviously production was like, please sit next to this man. It's going to look so awkward if there's like 4 people in the first row and he's in the second row and there's no one next to him. And also, please sign off so that we can use, your image in this shot. She's like, okay. But the entire time she's looking at the side and she's looking at the camera. Gino then is like, hey, to the instructor, will you help me by taking a selfie for me? And then he makes the instructor take what he says is a selfie for him. And I feel like we all know that a selfie literally means a picture that you take yourself. A selfie is a picture you take yourself. A selfie isn't a picture just of you. I don't call like my school pictures selfies, Anyway, so then at that point, we're like, oh my God, Gino. Okay. And they know that that's why they're saying things like that. They keep things like that in so that I talk about it. So then he goes to like a single event, and it's not a somatic one where he's going to do trust falls. It seems like an adult gymnasium with just a bunch of like the kind of adults that like have zoomies. There's like kickball happening. One guy's playing kickball barefoot. I have no idea why. There's 2 women who I'm like, first of all, what is your stories? Are you here to meet men? Are you fans of the show? Do you watch the show? Because it's interesting. Like at this point, yes, they do watch the show. They know who Gino is. Anytime Gino talks about Jasmine, I assume they know who Jasmine is. Just like when Kimberly was at the pitch sesh, someone asked her like, oh, Kimberly, would you date my dad? He lives in New York, like a long distance relationship. And she's like, well, my last relationship was from Nigeria. And the way that girl laughed, it was obvious that she was a fan of the show. She's like, you mean Soulja Boy, right? I know. Baby girl Lisa, Soulja Boy, I know. You were like, yeah, I know. Okay, so basically he starts talking to these 2 women, and these two women are like, oh, hey, like, how are you? Like, what's happening? And he just like, yeah, I'm just getting out of a relationship. Now I'm married still. Like, with Jasmine happened. I should have never done it with Jasmine. I brought her back from, Panama, and it was really bad. And they're like, okay. And he's like, oh, maybe I should change the subject. Instead of being like, hey, ladies, like, are you excited to play dodgeball? Or how long have you been coming here? Or, are either of you single? He's just like, what are you guys looking for in a man? Which is an awkward thing to say. Like, first question to someone. I don't even care even if you're at a speed date, like an actual speed dating, sitting across from someone, if the first thing that you say to someone is, what are you looking for in a woman? What are you looking for in a man? That's weird. It's creepy. Already. Your first question should be like, hey, how are you? Good. Yeah. Have you done one of these things before? Yeah. No. I like your tie. You can, so there's just so many ways of getting in conversations. Are you in accounting? I don't know. That's a bad thing. But, talk about the music that you're into, get to know someone first, their essence of who they are, before assigning them the role and job of being a potential suitor for you or like fuck toy for you. That's where it gets awkward. Oh, I'm not a person. I'm just either an option or not an option. Weird. So the women, though, are like, is he for real? In front of him. And then weirdly are like, did you hear that? And he's like, no. And they're like, good. I feel like they wanted him to hear that. Because they didn't want to talk to him anymore, or they wanted him to know that he was being weird, or they wanted to be kind of rude on TV. Like, here's the thing about it. If I'm them, let's just pretend I am them. And let's just pretend I don't know his whole backstory. Let's just pretend I'm at this weird adult matchmaking kickboxing gym, and there's cameras. I've had to sign off my release, and there's a man, a Gino, saying these things. I mean, I would just assume that he was a very nice gentleman, maybe like neurodivergent or something. I would just never be mean to him. I would never be like, is he for real? I would just be like, oh, okay, buddy. Yeah, you're still married. Well, here's the thing. I know it's difficult when things end and can take longer, but patience is a virtue. I hope you have fun here though. Bye. And I leave, like that's right. I don't know. So after that, he goes grocery shopping. And this is, to me, the best part of the entire episode. So he's grocery shopping, okay? And he was wearing glasses like down his nose, like they're reading glasses. And he loves a bargain. He picks up 2 things of Prego. He's like 2 for 1 Prego. My God, it's usually Ragu. Usually Ragu is the cheapest one, but I get to have Prego tonight. He's like, women are upset usually about how cheap I am, but I can't wait to find someone who is happy with my lifestyle, my frugalness, is impressed with my ability to spend absolutely nothing, because I don't think I'm worth anything, whatever it is. And also, as we know, Jasmine didn't eat meat. So he's like, I get to eat meat. So then he decides to go to the nice butcher at Foodland who's wearing a hairnet and who is unfortunately tasked to have a conversation over nothing with Gino for this show. Now, here's what's interesting. Gino's like, where do you have packaged ground beef? To a butcher. Now, packaged ground beef, like in a grocery market's almost always in the exact same place. But if you know you're going to get ground beef and they have a butcher, why you wouldn't just go and get like fresh ground beef, except that it's cheaper. That's a Gino. So he, of course, is like, well, where's your packaged ground beef? Because I used to date Jasmine. I used to be married to Jasmine. And if you know Jasmine, you know one thing about her is that she was a vegetarian, also very mean, also very loud. And so I never got to do anything I didn't want. And now I get to do everything I want, which includes spending no money on all the cheap beef I can possibly have. Where's the ground beef? That's what's for dinner every night of the week. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh my God. He's just going to put that ground beef into the Prego. He's going to make bolognese. He's going to call his uncle and be like, I'm the best Italian chef of the family. We're going to be like, oh my God, no matter. Here's the thing. You know who likes Prego? Jenny of Jenny and Sumit watched the 2 for 1 Prego go into this single life's cart. And she was like, oh yes, Gino. Yes. You know who would appreciate Gino's thriftiness? Jenny. You know who would appreciate Jenny's spaghetti? Gino. So just think about that. Just think about it. So then we get, him looking at Oscar Mayer wieners and all the kielbasa's. In the meat department, he's like, really looking at all of the like salty casings, all the bologna. And then later on, he picks up some white bread and he gives it a squish and he goes, this is soft. I mean, it's exactly how I like my women, soft. Now, we know that's not true because when we met Jasmine, she was a gym hardcore goer. She still is like a gym hardcore goer. So when we first met Jasmine, she has like a very fit, thin, muscular body. Can't talk. She had built whatever ass. At this point, she gets plastic surgery. She gets butt implants. She gets breast implants. Soft is relative. I don't necessarily think those things are soft. So I don't know if like he's ever really had like a soft woman, but I don't know what men think soft is, so funny. Like, does Pedro think that Sophie is soft? Like she's soft in her demeanor and her voice, but I don't think her body isn't soft. I'm assuming that when you feel those boobies, they're, plastic surgery boobies. I guess soft is relative, right? I made of pure down pillows. But I also, I'm not trying to be like Gino's like cup of tea, but Gino can't wait to like give the cameramen gold. They were like, go squeeze that bread. Say something about the bread. I mean, that's exactly how I like my women. And then they were like, go grab Folger's coffee and say something about that. Well, I like my women dry in the morning. You're like, well, what? You just like keep making him do it. We also get like a smiled, because I'm obsessed with details, shot of his cart. And we've seen what he's been putting it in, but just to really think about the Prego, the white bread, the Simply orange juice, the chocolate milk, and what looks like a 12-pack of like Sunny Delight Gatorade. He's thirsty. It's a thirsty man. That was the end of the episode, my loves. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, on the docket, Traders, I'm going to do a combo episode for the next 3 episodes. And then on Thursday, a new episode drops. As we know, because of Super Bowl Sunday, we did not have a Before the 90 Days. That's coming back. Love is Blind is coming. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know, because I want to know if you will be interested in some recaps. Goodness gracious. Thank you so much for giving me 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts like Apple or Spotify. It truly means a lot. At the same time, you can follow me. I'm at Chris L. Farah on social medias such like Instagram and TikTok. I have a Patreon, Chris Farah, which is where I'm putting the visuals of everything for the podcast before it goes live on YouTube. And maybe it won't even go on like live on YouTube. I'm not quite sure. So if you want the visuals first and foremost before anyone else, it's Patreon, Chris Farah. I also have a Substack, Chris Farah. Facebook exists still. There's Chris Farah, like the page there, and the private group, Vanity Farah. All of that is happening. At the same time, thank you so much for your patience with me as I get everything lined up for this podcast. Also, I'm, like I said, moving. So it's all been a little slower than I would like. At the same time, patience is a virtue, like I've said. So at the same time, happy Valentine's Day. No more same times. We're going to breathe together and we're going to go on our merry ways. But I've enjoyed hearing the sound of my voice. I certainly hope you have. I really am thankful that anyone would want to listen to me just like shout about this show. But at the same time, oh my God, cut that out, Christina. I'm really excited to talk about Single Life because it's sort of new and a new format. And the fact that I got to hang out with people from the show during the holiday party gives me an extra spidey sense to see what's real and what's not, and like what could be happening in the future. I feel like a little like science experiment laboratory assistant. All right, my babes, 2 breaths. Presently, we are all together. If you're listening to this, for some reason, you decided to push play. And in time and space, it's hard while we're moving through our lives to find a pocket of mindful, present breath. So I think that maybe if you don't mind, let this be a reminder to do it. And why not now? So just 2 breaths. One's a rehearsal breath. One is an actual breath. You can use the sound of my voice or your own breath or the sound of my breath so we can bring ourselves to this present moment. Stop worrying about the future. Stop remembering and playing all the awkwardness of the past. None of it's actually going to serve you if you can't also control your mind by being present, because right now is what's real. It's a good reminder. It's a nice grounding mechanism. Let's do it. Blow it all out. Breathe it in twice. All right, my loves. I can't wait to see what happens when he meets Natalie, who I can't believe is back. I'm really mad about the fact that Natalie is back because it makes me feel like she didn't learn her lesson that he's disgusting. And also it makes me feel like she just wants to be famous. And I don't like people who want to be famous. I want people who are truthful. All right. Thanks for being truthful with me. And at the same time, it's imperative that you take care of yourselves so that you can take care of one another, so that you can stand up for what you believe, which sometimes happens by making art. I'll talk to you later, babes. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.